Right. So thank you all for joining. My name is Felicia Saraceno. I'm the Director of Business Development here at the Arlington. We are excited to have you as part of our Maintain Your Brain series. Today, we are talking about healthy living for the brain and body. Our speaker today is Cynthia Perthuis, and she is going to be taking it away in just a moment. I'm just going to let a few more folks in. So welcome if you're just joining. And I'm going to introduce Cynthia Perthuis. She is with Senior Care Authority, but she is also a certified dementia practitioner and trainer. And she does a lot of training for the Alzheimer's Association. So welcome, Cynthia.
Thank you. So I will go ahead and get started this morning. So thanks, Felicia, for having me, and thanks to the Alzheimer's Association for providing some of these series that we're doing. Some of you were with us last week, and we talked about the 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's. And if you want to go and see that presentation, Felicia will have a link for us that she can maybe put in the chat so that you can go to see that presentation. And for those of you who were with us last week, you may remember that I said this next one is my absolute favorite. So again, as Felicia mentioned, I'm with a company called Senior Care Authority, and we help people find healthy living spaces as they age and as they move on into different stages of their lives. And I focus on dementia, and I got into that world because my father had dementia, and it runs in our family, and I wanted to learn everything I could learn about it, as well as help find ways maybe to help raise money and help us do some research. So today's program, I'm going to share my screen and get us started here. Felicia, you're going to need to enable me to share the screen.
All set. Sorry about that.
Great. That's all right. No problem. Great, so we're gonna be off to the races now. We're gonna get started. So these are tips and tricks that we're gonna learn are gonna be for people who are aging and who don't necessarily have a diagnosis of Alzheimer's, but are all concerned about our aging brain. And so it's about our aging brain as well as our body. These are research-based recommendations about taking care of our brains and bodies so that we can age as well as possible. And remember, it's intended for healthy individuals who are looking for ways to age well. By the end of this program, we hope that you're going to be able to identify the reasons that taking care of yourself as you age is important, that you will be able to list some strategies to help you age well, and that you'll make your own plan for healthy aging. Now we're going to start out by talking about the factors that contribute to how human beings age. There are some ways in which we age that we all have in common, and many of these are outside of our control. I mean, you've heard it, you can't pick your family, so that is completely out of our control. So as we get older as adults, our hair typically turns gray. Now we can color it and try to cover it up, but underneath there, it is gray, trust me. Our skin wrinkles. Our eyes tend to focus less effectively while we read. And how all this takes place depends on our genes. But some families tend to live a really long time, and other families tend to develop diseases that may limit their lifespans. All of these things in the genes are out of our control. It's what we're born with. But there are many aspects of aging that we do have some degree of control. And we're going to talk about a lot of those today. So some of the aspects of aging that we do have some semblance of control over is our lifestyle, our environmental factors. But again, even with genetic predispositions toward particular conditions, there are lifestyle and environmental interventions that may alter the course even of those genes. These habits that we're going to talk about today will help keep our bodies and our brains as healthy as possible as we age. So let's talk a little bit about the brain, that piece of our body that weighs about three plus pounds, kind of a small part of our body, but a very, very important part of our body. And what we do know, it is the control center, and it controls all of our bodily functions. As we are aging, there are changes that take place in our bodies and our brains. And many of these are, again, to be expected, such as the way our brains decline in processing information. However, there are some diseases that are common as we age, and some of those impact brain function. Alzheimer's disease and other dementias result when the brain is compromised in some specific ways. Now, currently, there are no proven methods to prevent, cure, or even slow the progression of Alzheimer's disease. However, there are habits that will help us maintain or potentially improve overall health as we go. And these habits may also keep our brain healthy as we age. Now, to just kind of set the stage, set the table, dementia is a general term that is caused by many different diseases, each with different symptoms. So it's an umbrella effect. Alzheimer's is a disease that is under the Alzheimer's umbrella. Although dementia and the diseases under this umbrella are associated with aging, they are not a normal part of aging. Alzheimer's disease is the most common form of dementia, and it accounts for 60 to 80% of all dementia cases. There are approximately 100 billion nerve cells called neurons in the brain, and they are structured like branches of a tree, creating a network of pathways through which electrochemical signals are sent to form the thoughts, feelings, and memories that we all have. Alzheimer's disease progressively destroys the brain cells as it moves throughout the brain, and it affects more functions as it progresses. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, we have known for years that the body and the brain are connected, and that what is good for the body may also be good for the brain. Now, science is able to tell us why this is true and what we can do to maximize health. Much of the body-brain connection is due to the fact that the brain is nourished by the body's richest network of blood vessels. The oxygen and other elements delivered to the brain through the bloodstream keep the brain nourished. Each time that your heart beats, 25% of the blood being moved goes to the brain, that small little piece of our body, 3 pounds out of the however many other dozens of pounds we weigh. 25% of the blood goes there. This is why keeping our body in good working order helps keep the brain fueled to do its work. There are many benefits of aging, and I am going to tell you about some of them because I embrace aging. If you ask someone who's over 50 or 60, you may hear discussions of increased feelings of comfort with who you are as a person and less concern about the opinions of others or criticism of others. So we can go back to that gray hair. While I am over the age of 50 or 60, I still am concerned about the color gray hair, so I color my hair. But as I get older, I think about not coloring that gray hair anymore. And that would provide a lot of comfort for me because it would also save me a lot of my pocketbook and take up a lot of less time if I was not as concerned about that. So again, we hear people that say there's less concern. They're not as concerned about those opinions. People in their 70s and 80s may also talk about wisdom that comes with life experience and appreciation of this perspective. Some of the risk for Alzheimer's include age, genetics, head injury, make sure you're wearing a helmet, cardiovascular factors, and fewer years of formal education. And we're going to talk about some of those risks later in the program. And we've talked about those under our 10 warning signs, and we've talked about it under another program we do called Understanding Alzheimer's. There are some therapies that have been developed to help treat symptoms of the disease, and they're very effective for some people for a limited time. However, they do not slow the progression of this dreadful disease. So today, we're going to explore 4 aspects of healthy aging. These areas are physical health and exercise, diet and nutrition, cognitive activity, social engagement. We're also going to look at ways to combine all 4 of these areas that we want to focus on. When you're thinking about what you do during the day, you want to consider, do what you enjoy, make gradual changes, and start now, regardless of your age. Let's start this part of the program with exploring the area of physical health and exercise. So here's what we know. There is quite a bit of research in the area of how physical activity affects brain health. Many studies indicate that engaging in physical activity is associated with lower risk of cognitive decline. So many researchers say that if people had to choose one thing to do to improve their brain function, it should be exercise. There is some evidence that suggests that exercise may directly benefit brain cells by increasing blood and oxygen flow and by reducing other dementia risk factors, such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and high cholesterol. However, there is no recipe that talks about the single activity that would work for every single person. Everybody's going to be different. So let's hear some discussions here about someone who wants to talk about developing some new habits and how you would do that.
It's surprising how you can easily build up habits of just taking 15 to 20 minutes out of your day to go down, hit the treadmill, and just do it. Just do it. Just get on and put my headphones on and just walk at a nice brisk pace for myself, build up a quick heartbeat, quick sweat, and it's amazing how quickly I can go from 15 minutes to 20 minutes, and then over time 30 minutes, and over time 40 minutes. Before you know it, you're up to 45 minutes of walking, and even at a higher incline and also at a higher pace. And again, it's all about incorporating habits in the choices that we make.
So I want to make sure, Felicia, can you tell me, were you all able to hear that clip? Because I want to make sure I did that correctly.
Yes, we could hear it after you increase the audio.
Got it. Okay, thank you. So let's talk about the most important recommendation, and that is to be active as you can, and incorporate activity that you enjoy so that you will continue to engage. So if this is new to you, if physical activity, physical health and exercise is new to you, start out small and walk around your neighborhood a few times a week. Take the stairs more often than the elevator. Park your car further away from the destination than usual. These little changes can add up, and research shows that even 20 to 30 minutes of walking a few times a week can have health benefits. Even just walking around in the hallways of a building that you live in, or making that trek around, or walking out to the street and back, those little changes are enough to make a change in your lifestyle. Participate in cardiovascular activity regularly. This will increase the blood flow to your brain and your body, providing additional nourishment. Now, I want to tell you, I used to live in New York City, and I would go to my doctor for a physical, and she would say, "Are you getting cardiovascular, exercise?" And I said, "Oh, I run to the subway every morning because I'm always late. I run to the subway." And she would tell me, "Well, while that's okay, really, maybe you want to add something other than just running to the subway. So just keep in mind that that's still cardiovascular activity, but maybe we need to do a little bit more." Now, in adding physical health and exercise, remember, start out small, but also move safely. Keep in mind, you need to prevent injury. Wear a helmet if you're biking to protect against head injury. Wear other protective gear when you are needed for other activities. Ask a friend to join you. This may make it a social event, which is a benefit for your brain and body as well, but you also get support for continuing with your routine, and you get accountability. I know that if I have a walking partner, I am more prone to make sure I get up every morning early and I meet that partner to walk, because I don't want to be embarrassed and have them waiting for me outside or waiting for me near me. I want to be there for them. So just make sure that, get a partner. Something else you might do is consider physical activities that are also mentally or socially engaging. So take a dance class, join an exercise group, or engage in a challenging sport such as golf or playing tennis. I'm a pickleball player. I see the pickleball, and I'll mention it later on, is a good physical and health exercise as well as socially engaging. But most important, if you have not been exercising or you want to start a new exercise program, make sure you check with your doctor before you start. Last but not least, it's never too late and it's never too early to start. No matter when you start, your body and brain can still reap the benefits. Let's think of some other things that have to do with physical health. Studies have found that smoking increases the risk of cognitive decline, and it may increase the risk of dementia. Now, additional benefits of stopping smoking include a lower risk of heart attacks, a lower risk of stroke and lung disease, better blood circulation. Remember, we're trying to get 25% of that blood up to our brain, as well as you help avoid others. Others get to avoid your secondhand smoke. Alcohol has many effects. Although a glass or two of red wine is commonly thought to have a health benefit, you should not start drinking if you don't already drink. Also, excessive drinking of alcohol has some serious negative consequences, including slow or impaired communication among the brain cells, fuzzy memory and drowsiness, long-term changes in balance, memory, emotions, coordination, and body temperature. It can also be a big contributor to falls and fall-related injuries in older adults. It can also react negatively with many medications that lead to potentially dangerous or even life-threatening consequences. So far we know that what we can do from a physical health and exercise is stop smoking, avoid excess alcohol. Let's talk a little bit about sleep. We need to get enough sleep. Inadequate sleep due to conditions like insomnia or sleep apnea can cause problems with memory and with thinking. We want to avoid any injury to your head. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Head injuries and falls can contribute to physical and cognitive difficulties no matter what your age. So make sure that you wear a helmet when you're riding a bicycle or playing sports that could involve head injury. Studies have found that regular physical activity decreases stress. It also increases your ability to manage stress, and it leads to a better overall mood. So monitor your level of stress, take action to minimize it, and seek professional assistance to address anxiety, depression, or other mental health concerns. Be sure that you have informed all of your doctors about all the medications you take, and have them review them by your primary doctor once a year, as well as talking to them about what different exercise setups and routines you're going to start. Make sure you have a physician that you can trust and visit him or her on a regular basis. Follow their recommendations. This is one of the best things you can do to maximize your health as you age. growing evidence suggests that many factors that increase the risk of heart disease and strokes may also increase the risk of dementia. These include high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, and possibly high cholesterol. Although there is good research being done in these areas, more is needed. And here's what we know from a scientific research basis. Research has shown an increase in the risk of cognitive decline and dementia among individuals with diabetes. Although diabetes has not been shown to cause Alzheimer's disease, there is a relationship between those who have diabetes and those who get dementia. Studies have also found that midlife obesity may be associated with an increased risk of dementia. And research done on treatments to reduce midlife hypertension suggests they may also reduce the risk of cognitive decline. Studies have shown mixed results for the relationship between high cholesterol levels and dementia, but we do know that a good cholesterol level is good for the heart, and what's good for the heart is good for the brain. So the best way to combat these health concerns is to get your cardiovascular factors mentioned above tested regularly with your doctors, and work with your doctors to understand what the results mean for your overall health. Be aware of changes from previous levels to help determine whether these changes are needed to help you stay healthy. African Americans, Latinos, and other ethnic groups that tend to have higher rates of blood pressure, diabetes, and cardiovascular problems need to work even closer with their doctors to stay on top of medical concerns. So that was our physical health and exercise unit. Now we're going to move over to diet and nutrition. Because I like to eat, this is another one of my favorite modules. Again, we know that a healthy fueling of the body benefits brain functioning. But there are many differing opinions about what is the best way to eat to maximize health. Research in the area of the relationship between diet and cognitive functioning is somewhat limited, but it does point to the benefits of two diets in particular. The DASH diet, which stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension, and the Mediterranean diet. So the Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension, or the DASH diet, is a flexible and balanced eating plan. Studies show that the DASH diet lowers high blood pressure and improves levels of blood lipids, which may reduce the risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Because the DASH diet is a healthy way of eating, it offers potential health benefits beyond simply lowering blood pressure, including reducing the risk of osteoporosis, cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. All of those things are things we want to control or we want to watch. Who wants to have osteoporosis, cancer, heart disease, stroke, and diabetes? Let's watch our diet. The second diet that I talked about a couple of minutes ago, the Mediterranean diet, and that incorporates the basics of healthy eating along with other components characterizing the traditional cooking style of countries bordering the Mediterranean Sea. That's how this diet got its name. A research analysis of more than 1.5 million healthy adults demonstrated that following a Mediterranean diet could reduce the risk of death from heart disease and cancer, as well as reduce the incidence of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. It's never too late to adopt a heart-healthy diet, and studies show that making these changes, even later in life, may have benefits for your brain health. So let's try this video. Let me see if I can get the sound on early in the game.
Foods that have been shown.
Well, I didn't do that. I stopped the share. So hold on, let me try this again. Sorry.
Known to lead to healthy aging, would be fruits and vegetables, and in particular green leafy vegetables and berries, as well as limited intake of high-fat food items that you get through high-fat dairy and cheese and red meats, and also healthy vegetable oils. So this would be, olive oil would be a good example, have been shown to reduce your risk of heart disease as well as dementia.
What can we do? There are some simple ways to adopt a healthy diet that may benefit your body and your brain. We all probably know this, but here's a time for a good reminder. On this slide, you can see the suggestions that incorporate principles from both the DASH diet and the Mediterranean diet. And they include incorporating vegetables into your daily diet. Eating green, leafy vegetables has been shown to have health benefits. Eat a diet rich in fruits. Some studies indicate that certain fruits, such as berries, blueberries, may be particularly helpful. Keep in mind to eat nuts, beans, and whole grains. Only eat lean meats, fish, and poultry. And choose foods that contain polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats. Those fats are found in nuts, vegetable oils, and fish. Aim for a diet low in saturated and trans fats. And stay away from processed foods, deep fried foods, and excess sugar and salt. I'm probably not telling you anything that you don't know. What I'm trying to do is really make sure and drive it home that this is an important part of keeping a healthy brain and body. A healthy diet will help increase your intake of important vitamins. Now, some research, has shown that vitamins such as vitamin E, vitamins E and C together, vitamin B12, and folate may lower your risk of cognitive decline and possibly Alzheimer's. Now, this research has resulted in some suggestions that taking dietary supplements will lower your risk. But what we need to keep in mind is that dietary supplements and nutraceuticals, or medical foods, are made for those with nutritional deficiencies, and they're to be used only under the supervision of a physician. Labels for medical foods or supplements cannot make drug claims or state that they alleviate symptoms of disease because they are not drugs as defined by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration or the FDA. Many are created with little or no regulation and may be potentially dangerous. So beware of false claims. With all types of supplements, it's important to keep in mind that they are not without risk. They are made of chemicals that may interact with other medications in negative ways, or they may upset the way that your body works naturally. Although they often cite research to back up their beneficial claims, the research has not been held to the rigorous standards required for medications by the FDA. Now, traditionally, when we finish our slide presentation, I get a question about some supplements that you may see on the news every night, on the national news, that are advertised. Remember, these are supplements. If they make you feel better, then take them. But there's no scientific evidence for anything that's advertised as a supplement that is not monitored by the FDA. So talk to your doctor and watch the types of supplements that you take. The best way to understand is to talk with your doctor. Work with someone who understands your physical issues. He'll be the best to provide an understanding and advice around medications, vitamins, and dietary supplements, and how they all interact together. So it's really important to discuss any changes in medication with your doctor. Next, let's look at some research that's around the area of cognitive activity. I know each one of these I always say is my favorite. This is my favorite too. I love this presentation. I love each of these items, and because it's something that I can have control over. Cognitive activity is the term used for keeping our minds active. Anything that uses your mind in challenging ways is a cognitive activity and can possibly have short and long-term benefits for your brain. As you use your mind in new and challenging ways, your brain actually begins to form and nourish new pathways for connections among the brain cells. The more pathways you have, the more nimble your brain is, and the better able you are to guard against the effects of injuries or diseases that may compromise brain functioning. Studies have been done in which some people engaged in cognitive activity by playing games or reading material that was challenging for them. Those who kept their brains active in these ways could recall information that was recently learned and remember it later to a much greater degree than those who did not keep their minds stimulated through mental activity. However, we do not know all the reasons why staying cognitively engaged may be beneficial. More research is taking place today to further explore these questions. Research has shown that engaging in formal education, classroom-based learning administered by professionally trained teachers in any stage of life will help keep your brain healthy and can protect your brain from developing dementia. Some researchers believe that this may be due to education creating a more robust network of communication pathways between neurons in the brain. Others believe that the difference has more to do with education levels being related to socioeconomic factors, which are correlated with risk for disease in general and access to medical care. So let's hear Dr. David Bennett, who's the director of the Rush Alzheimer's Disease Center in Chicago. He's going to talk about some research that's in the area of cognitive activity.
One of the most interesting factors is cognitive stimulating activities, which basically for us just means mental processing of information. It can be from a book, it can be from the radio, it can be a magazine, it can be from a lecture, it can actually be from watching TV. All of these things require processing information. And the old adage of, use it or lose it is actually something that turns out, at least from the observational data, to look like it's true. So numerous studies now have shown that being more engaged in cognitively stimulating activities is actually good for maintaining cognition. And it's true in late life, and it's true in early life. And so what we recommend is that you start early, and if you're already late, start now.
I was just at lunch with a friend of mine, and we were talking about how cognitive activity keeps us engaged and keeps us moving forward in our life, both mentally and physically. And we discussed the fact that even if we were not working at the jobs that we had, we would be engaged with some of these things that you see here. We would learn some new skills or some hobbies. She was telling me a story about learning how to play Mahjong, and that learning to play Mahjong was a new skill, a new hobby, and that she felt like it kept her brain firing in the right direction. As I mentioned earlier, I've learned to play pickleball, and I spend a lot of time understanding and trying to learn the strategic part of the game because it's a new piece of energy for my brain. And I'm also involved in, more than I should be, book clubs, because there's always a new book that I should be reading, and I'm learning as I'm reading these books because one of my book clubs is only on historical fiction. So I'm learning a lot of things about the history of the world that I probably should have learned in middle school, but didn't. And so even at this age, I'm learning new things. So it's always good to try to learn something new that interests you and that you find enjoyable. You might want to learn how to play or take up a new hobby like watercolor painting or playing chess. Chess is very popular right now. You would want to engage in ongoing learning. So seek some new opportunities for formal education. We know now, because of the pandemic, there are so many areas where we can do online learning that is formal education. We could go to Harvard if we wanted, online. We can learn how to cook online. We can learn a new language online. It may be also taking a class at a local college or going to a community center, a senior center that teaches a new hobby, a new topic, a new skill. You could help your children and your grandchildren to in their education. So they're all at home with their parents. So maybe they need you to help them with their homework. And you can do all of that online right now. You could join a club that's focused on a common interest. So again, mahjong or bird watching. It has a double benefit. It will keep your mind active while you're engaging in social interaction. So while brain training activities such as computer games that aim to improve memory and attention span, they're an exciting area of research, but none of these activities are proven buffers against Alzheimer's disease. So be cautious of these commercially marketed brain games with big claims and promises. They go in that same category with supplements that you see advertised on the nightly news that make promises that don't quite sound feasible. One of the best ways to stretch your mind and help your brain be as resilient as possible is to consistently engage in activities that involve learning new things or solving problems. Be sure to choose activities that you enjoy to keep the likelihood that you're going to continue to engage in them over time. We have a picture here of some chess pieces. Chess is exceptional for engaging your brain and growing your brain. I cannot stand chess. So going out and trying to learn chess again, because I did learn it once before, it's not going to help me because I'm not going to keep doing it. It's not something that I would find enjoyable. You may find it enjoyable and that would be good for you, but don't just pick up a new skill or a new hobby because everybody says it's good for your brain. Pick up a new skill or a hobby that you like. Now, cognitive stimulation is defined as the mental processing of information. And cognitive stimulation has a positive effect on maintaining cognitive abilities throughout life. So it's important to incorporate cognitive stimulation into your life regardless of your age. The final area that we're going to take a look at is social engagement. I know I've said it the other 3 times, but this is really my favorite portion. I love social engagement. However, this is where we have the least amount of research. But we know that there is some research that indicates that connecting with others socially may benefit brain health and may actually delay the onset of dementia. We have seen, because of the pandemic and the isolation that everyone had, not just the elderly, not just people with dementia, but everyone had a social isolation. We have seen that that has caused a decline, especially in the elderly population. There's been a severe decline in the cognitive, and we're still studying that. There will be a lot of studies on this over the next several years. Those who are engaged with other people, they tend to have reduced rates of mortality and disability. I, as a person who does consulting work with this population, gets so many phone calls from the children of my clients, and they will say, Mom has declined so much in the past 6 months. She's at home alone. That is exactly right. So we want to make sure we're finding ways to not be isolated and finding ways, even during a quarantine situation, to reach out and be engaged with others. Researchers aren't sure how, why, or if social networks may help keep the brain resilient, but some scientists say that the traits that enable people to build and maintain friendships act as a buffer against cognitive impairment. Regardless of the reason, as I mentioned earlier, we know people do not do well in isolation. When people are feeling good about their social networks, they tend to make healthier choices in the other areas. If they have a social network that keeps them together, they'll go walk with people. They'll go dine with healthy ways of dining. They won't drink as much. They won't smoke. Those are things that we do know are true if you have some healthy connections. And healthy connections really gives your life a sense of meaning and purpose. Staying socially active may be important in maintaining your overall health, but we also know that you can engage with others without any financial cost. So when you can, choose a cognitive activity or that has a physical component so you can enhance the benefits you get from your activities. Some suggestions for social interaction might include getting together with family and friends on a regular basis, meeting new people and forming new friendships. It's never too late to make a new friend. Being active in your community, volunteering at your local library, community center, church, taking classes, joining a local walking club, or a book group. Now we're going to put all of these four my favorite pieces of these modules together. Cognitive activity, physical health and exercise, diet and nutrition, social engagement.
Recently, at the Alzheimer's Association International Conference, there was a study reported of the results of a large clinical trial that was done in the Scandinavian countries. And in this trial, they took half the people in the trial and they adjusted their exercise level, their diet, their social engagement, and their mental stimulation. They developed programs for each one of those variables, changed all of those for the people that were in the test group, and the control group just lived as they had been. There is a tremendous benefit to doing studies where we make changes and observe after the fact. That's a much stronger study than just observing people and trying to make judgments after life has changed for them. To my mind, one of the things that this has done is it's changed the force of recommendation that we might make around the benefit of these interventions for prevention of Alzheimer's disease or for brain health. And the fact is that I think it's moved it from possibly exercise, diet adjustments, social engagement, mental stimulation are useful to probably. And that's a big change and makes it easier for people to make those kinds of adjustments for the benefit of their future health.
So I'm going to go back to my discussion of what I like to do that combines all of these things. And I believe that my experiences and my enjoyment of pickleball affect everything. So pickleball is a racket sport and it has a physical component to it. However, it's not a real strenuous physical component. And it seems like a lot of people can do it no matter how much you can move or not move. So there's the physical and exercise component to the pickleball. There's also a social component. When I play this game of pickleball, we adjust and move to different groups. So we play a game and then we change partners and change people and we go with a whole new group and there's an intro time and tell me who you are, what do you do, where did you work before, where did you live before, why do you like this game? We chatter and then we play. So we've got the social aspect of it. There is the brain part of it because it's a strategic game. While it may seem physical and there is a physical component, there's a strategy to it. And so your brain is working on the strategy piece of it. And while I play that game, I'm also forgetting if I need to pay the bills, if I need to go to the grocery store, if I don't like my weather, what are my kids up to, why haven't they called me? I can forget those things and really focus on the strategy and the cognitive piece that my brain has to work on. And then occasionally I get to add the food. And if we've done something where we've been really active and really engaged and really healthy, then we'll go out to eat afterwards and we're going to go eat something healthy because we don't feel like we should go eat a big hamburger. We're going to go eat a salad. So we get to have all of those components in that game. So you need to take a holistic approach and consider your health against all these components: physical, intellectual, social, spiritual, emotional, and the vocational areas of your life. You can make some simple changes. Now, what I'd like to do is, if you all are up for this, and we'll see how many people want to be involved, I'd love for you to go into the chat and just put what you do that you think combines all of those things or many of those things. Just type it into the chat so that other people can see your ideas. I've given you my idea of pickleball. I'd love to hear what you all do. I could also give you a suggestion that going to, whether it's chair yoga in a community where you live, or chair yoga in a senior center, or chair yoga online, that can also have some of the similar ideas that we're talking about on this holistic approach of being with people, having to understand things. When I do chair yoga, I have to understand things strategically about which muscle in my body do I need to be really thinking about so that I stay in this chair and don't fall out, and keep my balance. Doing it with other people. So those are just some of my ideas. And I'd love for you just to take this time and just type into the chat, and that chat button is down on the bottom. Just click on chat and type in what are some ideas that you have so that we can learn from each other. While you're doing that, I'm going to tell you, it's important to start today. It's never too late. It's never too early to start trying to be healthier. Start very small. Don't say, I know, I'm going to go run a marathon when you've never run before. I'm going to win the senior Olympic 50-yard dash for women over 70 if you've never done a 50-yard dash. So just start really small and expand from there. You can just do it step by step. Do what you enjoy. Remember, you don't like chess? Don't go spend a lot of time learning chess, because it's not going to be something that you want to continue to do. So choose an activity that you can stick with. Make sure that you're making healthy choices. So exercise, eat a nutritious diet, try to reduce your stress, get lots of sleep. Sleep is so important to the brain. And make a plan. Keep track of your progress as well as the obstacles. You know what? I don't like to walk when it rains. I don't like to walk down this street because the traffic is too bad. I like to walk to the beach instead of walking just in my neighborhood. And reward yourself. If you did something, make sure you give yourself a little treat. Maybe it's a piece of chocolate, or maybe it's, instead of having a salad, you're going to have a burger. But just tiny little treats that reward yourself. Also, tell everybody, this is what I'm doing. You want to tell your neighbors, tell your friends, tell your family, these are the things I'm doing. They'll hold you accountable. They'll discuss those things with you. They'll cheer you on. And engage in activities that have this social component. And last but not least, whatever you do, whatever activity you choose, have a good time. That's the most important part of this. Now, we know that aging can present health-related challenges that take an emotional, financial, and physical toll. You will see many products on the market with medical or health-related claims. We talked about these a little bit earlier. I want to talk about them again. That may be backed by inaccurate or misleading research. These products and services may be expensive or time-consuming, and they can arouse these false hopes in users. Some may actually be dangerous to your health. So don't let your desire to find a quick cure, a quick solution to challenges override your good judgment. These claims must be backed by solid research. And that's research that's conducted with a large number of people, research that has been replicated, and research that has been published in peer-reviewed journals. Before trying anything new, whether it seems too good to be true or whether your next door neighbor is doing it, before trying anything that's new, consult with the professionals who know your situation and who are reliable sources of information. Again, your personal physician is your best first choice. Pharmacists can also be helpful. They're great resources for information about drugs and over-the-counter supplement interactions. And then the Alzheimer's Association website at alz.org can also be helpful. This site offers up-to-date information on research. Now on this page, what I want to point out to you, because I am an educator with the Alzheimer's Association, as well as doing my day job, as well as playing pickleball, then this is what the Alzheimer's Association can do for you. You can see here a number of different areas where you can go to. So alz.org is the first stop, and there's a number of different things. There's resources, there's a navigator around Alzheimer's, there's support centers here. You can also find these support groups and education programs under alz.org, Find Us. The thing I want you to take away from this is the 24/7 helpline. And at the 24/7 helpline are master level social workers who are very adept at helping you get the help you need if you have a concern about your mental cognitive health, if you have a concern about someone that you love's cognitive health. You can go to this 24/7 helpline. You can also get involved with volunteer organizations. So you can volunteer for things such as the Alzheimer's Walk. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, understand the Alzheimer's Walk. It happens in the fall. Thousands, if not, a million people across the country will walk for a loved one and raise money. You can volunteer to do that. You can volunteer for a program we have that's called The Longest Day. The Longest Day is the easiest, simplest fundraising activity you can do. You can play bridge, and for however many hands of bridge you play, you raise money, and your friends and family will donate money to you. You can do it any day of the year, but traditionally it's held on the longest day, and that would be the summer solstice. And the reason they call it the longest day is because it's a long day for caregivers of people with dementia. You could also do advocacy work, writing a letter to your congressman, going to DC to lobby for Alzheimer's research funds. And another one that I really love is the trial match. Alzheimer's Association has a trial match program. I'm involved in the trial match program. They're not necessarily looking for people who have dementia, although they do accept those to the trial match. They're also looking for people who are healthy, so they have something to put it up against. One of the trial matches that I'm in that works for me, and I've talked about it before, is 45 minutes a year. I do a test, and it tests my cognitive levels and puts it into a database. And every year I get it back again. They come back to me to test again. And the idea is just to see how, in my opinion, a mentally healthy person is responding to just yearly stresses and things that happen. So all of those things, I always like to encourage people who are either struggling with this disease or who have a loved one struggling with the disease to get involved with the Alzheimer's Association. Now, there's also some other programs that are around, and Felicia at the Arlington can help you with programs, and I'll ask her to talk about this in a minute, about things that they do within the confines, within the building of the Arlington. But there are also things on the local area agency on aging. They have events and programs that help people stay healthy cognitively, physically. Senior centers, health clubs, WISE, and then the National Institute of Health and Brain Health as You Age. This is the Administration on Community Living, and then the CDC. So all of these areas also have resources that you can find that can help you stay healthy physically and mentally. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to always call the Alzheimer's Association. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and if you have any questions today, you can either put them in the chat or you can unmute yourself and you can ask them, and we will do our best between Felicia and I to be able to answer your questions or direct you to some place that can answer those questions. Oh, I like to see that people, I couldn't see the chat while I was asking you all to do this. So I love these ideas that are here. I hope that if you did or didn't put some ideas, that you will scroll through these. We have online fitness, volunteer, Tai Chi is really great. Treats can also be a nice bath or a nature stroll with fresh air. And for those of you who are in Florida, a nature stroll is always good. A walk after dinner. I love a walk after dinner because especially if I've gone out and had too much dinner or more dinner than I'm used to having, then a walk after dinner is really great. A good movie, Bible trivia online, those are great. And small groups that look at those different and share those values. A bike group. Let's see. Oh, there's somebody who's going to do a sleep memory study. I love studies because I like to come out and hope that I'm doing better than I thought maybe when I went into the study. So are there any questions? Again, you can just put them in the chat or you can unmute yourself and ask. So is everybody going to go join a pickleball group, or is everyone going to go join a food group that helps us all have this healthy eating? And Felicia, do you want to talk about some things that maybe the Arlington does that might be helpful? I'm putting you on the spot here.
That's okay. I'm happy to, let me see if I could just be side by side with you. Perfect. So we do have a number of trivias and activities for our residents here. Take, for instance, today they had a circle word search that was really interesting. I was watching it today and checking out. Basically, a number of residents were there to, find as many words as they could within this circle of letters, I would say. But we do everything here too, is from Bible study to your trivia that we have for Bible study. They do a Jeopardy game. They do a lot of interactive games with trivia, regular games, but they turn them into more interactive games, I would say, for our residents, especially like they've had Twister for our seniors, which is, definitely something that I need to video so everybody could see what we do with bean bags and the Twister game, which is a lot of fun. But having that interaction is huge for the residents.
I also see a lot of Scrabble that goes on in communities with a big, massive Scrabble board, which I need to have in my house because I sometimes can have, as I get older, because my eyes are aging, that I can't see that little Scrabble board. And so I'd love to come into communities and see the massive Scrabble boards. And I think that you also sometimes allow people from outside the community to come into these events as well, right? Some of them?
I have in the past, but COVID kind of put a kibosh on everything.
Oh, right. Always forget.
Yes, but they've done everything from, remember playing Hangman? They do those as well. Lots of brain exercises for the residents because that's something that is going to help tremendously. And then it gets you thinking. They have a really interesting game, and I don't know the name of it, but it's a storytelling, and the residents get to fill in the blanks with ideas for what they want to do.
Mad Lib? Is that like Mad Lib?
Mad Lib, yes, that's it. And they have a lot of fun with that. See, I need to play more memory games, so
Great. Well, again, we really appreciate you coming, and we're going to do another one of these next week, correct?
Yes, so next week is same day of the week, same time. It's February 11th at 2:00, Understanding Alzheimer's and Dementia. So please, if you haven't RSVP'd, make sure you get on that so I can get you out the information, and I'll send it out the day before. And then the following week on the 18th of February at 10:30 a.m., because note the time change, we have the live webinar with Teepa Snow. And Teepa Snow she is just a fabulous, fabulous Alzheimer's and dementia professional that's world renowned everywhere. We are actually participating in her GEMS program for our memory care. So that is something that is new for us that we're expanding on. But she is just a fabulous presenter, but she's going to have a live forum that's open for questions. So I do suggest joining that. I will definitely send out, I see a few chats coming in. I'll send out that information and get you guys set up. If you have any questions or would like to RSVP, just call me. My number is 239-307-3009. You can also go to our website, arlingtonnaples.org, and we actually have an event section where you can go and register online for this as well. And it also is on our Arlington and our Oakton Place at the Arlington's Facebook pages too. Now, these events, I did post the link on YouTube. They are recorded, like I had mentioned, and then what we do is I upload them on YouTube in case you want to reference back to it, but then in case some of your friends couldn't attend, they're able to view the entire workshop during that time at their leisure. And I find that those instant replays, like I like to call them, are definitely getting viewed. So that is the Arlington of Naples on our YouTube channel, and you can find that there too. So I will send you all that link once it's up. It takes a day or so for me to edit the video and upload it because it's so big, but I will get it up there for you and send you the link.
Oh, where could Arlington residents go for pickleball?
I know the answer to this. So the Marco Island Y, which is only 15 minutes from here, has a beginner's class. And Maya is the instructor. And we've been trying to get her to come over to the Arlington to do a demonstration, but it kind of fell through with COVID. But we're going to look to get her over for that because pickleball is a huge thing down here.
It is a big thing. I came from New York and had never heard of it. And now I play almost every day.
And if you know a little tidbit of information, the US Open of pickleball is played in Naples.
Yes.
I didn't know that even existed.
Yes. The largest pickleball facility in the world is in Naples, Florida. Just so you know. Can you tell them I'm an ambassador for pickleball? But
Yeah.
it's going to keep me young and mentally fit for years to come, I'm sure.
That's it. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Great.
So thank you all for joining.
Everybody. Thank you.
All right. Have a wonderful day.